Did Emperor Nero really play the fiddle while Rome burned, or is it just a myth? This question has puzzled historians for centuries. Nero, the fifth Roman emperor, reigned from 54 to 68 AD, a period marked by political machinations, extravagant spending, and unprecedented cruelty. He's a figure shrouded in controversy and notorious anecdotes, the most infamous being the claim that he fiddled while Rome was engulfed in flames. But was Nero really that heartless? Or has history painted an unfairly harsh picture of this enigmatic ruler? These are the questions we'll aim to answer as we delve into the life and reign of Nero, a leader whose actions and decisions shaped the course of Rome's history. Was he a ruthless tyrant, or a misunderstood monarch? The answers lie in the labyrinth of time and events that made up his life. To unravel the truth, we must travel back to the start of Nero's life. Born in 37 AD, Nero was not always destined for the throne. The child who would become one of Rome's most notorious emperors was born as Lucius Domitius Ahenobarbus, the son of Gnaeus Domitius Ahenobarbus and Agrippina the Younger. The early days of Nero's life were far from the opulence of the imperial court. His father, a man of violent temper and notorious reputation, passed away when Nero was only 2 years old. With his father's death, his mother Agrippina was left alone to navigate the treacherous waters of Roman politics. In a twist of fate, Agrippina married her uncle, Emperor Claudius, which played a significant role in Nero's life. Agrippina's relentless ambition and political acumen led Claudius to adopt Nero, making him a direct successor to the throne. This was a game-changer for young Nero, who was elevated from the status of an ordinary Roman citizen to that of a potential future emperor. Nero's mother, Agrippina, was not just a driving force behind his adoption but also an influential figure in his early life. She ensured that Nero received the best education Rome could offer. The philosopher Seneca was appointed as Nero's tutor, instilling in him a love for arts and literature. It was under Seneca's guidance that Nero developed his notorious passion for music, poetry, and drama. However, Agrippina's influence wasn't just limited to Nero's education. Her ambitions for her son were clear. She wanted him to be an emperor. This desire would shape Nero's character, molding him into a man known for his cunning and ruthlessness. As Nero grew up, he was caught in a whirlwind of power struggles, political machinations, and familial disputes. Yet, under the watchful eye of his ambitious mother, Nero learned to navigate these challenges. He was a young man groomed to rule, a puppet in the hands of his mother, and a pawn in the larger game of Roman politics. Little did young Nero know, his path was leading him to become one of the most infamous leaders in history. In 54 AD, at the tender age of 17, Nero ascended to the throne of Rome. It was a momentous event, the rise of a young man to the most powerful position in the known world. The throne had been left vacant by the death of Claudius, Nero's stepfather, under circumstances that have been the subject of speculation and debate for centuries. It's widely believed that Claudius didn't die of natural causes but was instead the victim of a plot orchestrated by Nero's mother, Agrippina the Younger. Agrippina, a woman of ambition and cunning, had married Claudius with a single goal in mind: to place her son on the throne. And when Claudius died, allegedly after eating a dish of poisoned mushrooms, Agrippina's plan came to fruition. With the throne now his, Nero found himself at the helm of a vast empire. But he was young, inexperienced, and relied heavily on his advisors. Among them were Seneca, his tutor, and Burrus, the commander of the Praetorian Guard. These men wielded considerable influence during the early years of Nero's reign, guiding the young emperor through the complexities of governance and policy making. The early years of Nero's reign were marked by relative peace and prosperity. Nero was popular among the people of Rome, who saw in him a youthful, energetic leader. He passed laws to curb the influence of corrupt officials and initiated public works projects to improve the city's infrastructure. But Nero's reign was not without its challenges. The young emperor had to contend with the machinations of his ambitious mother, Agrippina, who sought to maintain her influence over him. It was a power struggle that would ultimately lead to Agrippina's downfall and mark a turning point in Nero's reign. Nero's rule began on a promising note, with the young emperor showing signs of becoming a capable leader. But as he grew more comfortable in his role, he began to take a more active part in governance, often disregarding the advice of his counselors. What followed was a reign marked by extravagance, debauchery, and brutality. However, Nero's reign was about to take a dark turn. As Nero grew older, his rule became increasingly tyrannical. Nero's descent into tyranny was marked by a series of chilling events. His paranoia began to surface, and he started to see enemies where there were none. Heinous acts of murder followed, with his mother Agrippina and his first wife Octavia falling prey to his fears. His mother's murder, in particular, was a shocking act that left an indelible mark on history. Nero attempted to make it look like a tragic accident, but the truth was far from it. This was Nero at his most ruthless, a young man blinded by fear and power. His extravagant lifestyle, too, added fuel to the fire. Nero was known for his opulent taste. He lived life king-size, quite literally. He built the Golden House, a palace of unimaginable luxury, complete with rotating dining rooms and statues covered in gold. While Rome's citizens struggled, Nero reveled in his wealth, showing an utter disregard for his people. His neglect of political duties was another factor that led to his downfall. Nero was more interested in the arts than in ruling an empire. He fancied himself a poet, a musician, and an actor. While the empire needed a strong leader, Nero was busy performing on stage, leaving the administration in the hands of corrupt and incompetent officials. Then came the Great Fire of Rome in the summer of 64 AD. The city burned for 6 days and 7 nights, leaving only 4 of the 14 districts untouched. The fire was a catastrophic event that decimated much of Rome. But what shocked the people more was the accusation that Nero himself had started the fire. While Nero was known to be at his villa in Antium when the fire started, rumors quickly spread that he had ordered the fire to clear land for his Golden House. Whether this was true or not, Nero did nothing to quell these rumors. Instead, he blamed the Christians, leading to a brutal persecution that further alienated him from his people. The fire was a turning point in Nero's rule. His popularity plummeted, and the people of Rome began to see him for what he was, a tyrant who cared more for his own pleasures than the well-being of his empire. The Senate turned against him, the people despised him, and even the Praetorian Guard, his personal bodyguards, abandoned him. In the end, Nero was left alone, a ruler without a kingdom, a man without a people. He had become a pariah, a symbol of tyranny and excess. His rule was marked by fear, extravagance, and neglect, and as Rome burned, so did Nero's rule. The empire was in chaos, and Nero's actions only fueled the public's anger. In 68 AD, Nero's reign came to a tragic end. As the flames of rebellion fanned across the Roman Empire, Nero found himself in a tempest he couldn't quell. The uprising against him was not a sudden revolt. It was the culmination of long-standing resentment and growing disillusionment among the Roman populace and the Senate. Nero's extravagant lifestyle, the misuse of power, and the alleged arson of Rome had irked many. His arbitrary executions and relentless pursuit of personal pleasure had created a chasm between him and his subjects. The rebellion was as much a demand for justice as it was a cry for a change of leadership. The revolt, which began in Gaul under the leadership of Vindex, soon spread to other parts of the empire. The Roman legions, once loyal to Nero, started to defect. Even the Praetorian Guard, Nero's personal protection and a symbol of his authority, abandoned him. The Senate declared Nero a public enemy, and his rule was effectively over. Facing the inevitable, Nero decided to flee Rome. But the realization of his lost power and the fear of execution led him to a decision that would make his end as dramatic as his life. Nero chose to take his own life. On June 9, 68 AD, with the rebel armies closing in, Nero committed suicide. Nero's death marked the first time a Roman emperor took his own life. His infamous last words, "What an artist dies in me," still echo through the annals of history. Was it the lament of a fallen emperor, a tribute to his aspirations as an artist, or a final dramatic flourish from a born performer? We may never know. Nero's suicide brought an end to the Julio-Claudian dynasty, the first imperial dynasty of Rome. It was the dynasty that had given Rome its first emperor, Augustus, and Nero was its last. The year following Nero's death, known as the Year of the Four Emperors, saw a brutal and bloody power struggle, highlighting the instability and chaos that Nero's rule had left in its wake. Nero's death also marked a significant shift in Roman governance. The absolute power and divine status of the emperor were questioned, leading to changes in the political landscape of the empire. The Roman Empire was never the same again. Nero's life was a paradox, a blend of artistic pursuits and brutal tyranny. His end was as dramatic as his reign. The echoes of his infamous last words, the tales of his extravagance, and the stories of his tyranny have survived the test of time. They continue to paint a picture of a man who was as much an artist as he was an emperor, as much a tyrant as he was a tragedian. Thus ended the reign of Emperor Nero, leaving behind a legacy of controversy. the chapters of his life close with intrigue, enigma, and a sense of unfulfilled potential. A tale as timeless as Rome itself. Nero's legacy is a complex one, filled with dark deeds and grandiose ambitions. His influence on Roman history is undeniable, shaping an era with his eccentricities and controversial decisions. His rule saw significant developments in architecture, arts, and culture. His ambitious Domus Aurea project, a sprawling palace complex adorned with gold, gems, and ivory, was a testament to his extravagant taste. Furthermore, Nero's reign was marked by a focus on public entertainment. He himself was a performer, often participating in music, drama, and chariot races, a practice that was unheard of for a Roman emperor. But Nero's reign was also marked by darkness. His alleged role in the Great Fire of Rome, his persecution of Christians, and his reported excesses have painted him as a tyrant in the annals of history. His rule ended in chaos, with revolts and conspiracies ultimately leading to his forced suicide. In popular culture, Nero is often depicted as a mad and hedonistic ruler, an image largely shaped by the accounts of ancient Roman historians like Tacitus, Suetonius, and Cassius Dio. However, it's worth noting that these accounts were written after Nero's death and might have been influenced by the political climate of the time. Views on Nero's rule and character vary greatly. Some see him as a despotic ruler, while others view him as a misunderstood patron of the arts and culture. This is reflected in modern scholarly debates, with some historians arguing that Nero's rule was not as disastrous as traditionally depicted. Nero's legacy lives on in the form of countless books, plays, operas, and films that continue to explore his life and reign. His story serves as a reminder of the power and pitfalls of absolute rule, and the fine line between genius and madness. The legacy of Nero is a testament to the enduring allure of historical figures who defy categorization, who are neither wholly good nor evil, but a complex blend of both. Emperor Nero, a controversial figure, continues to fascinate us even today. Exploring the life of Nero, we uncover a tale of power, ambition, and downfall. We've journeyed through the corridors of time, tracing the path of a young boy who ascended to the pinnacle of power only to spiral into infamy. The enigma of Nero, the early years, the rise to the throne, the downfall, and the final curtain, each chapter revealing a new facet of this complex historical figure. We've delved into the depths of his rule, witnessing the paradox of a leader who was capable of great artistry and yet equally capable of shocking brutality. His reign, marked by scandal, extravagance, and the infamous Great Fire of Rome, has left an indelible mark on the annals of history. Yet history isn't about passing judgment, it's about understanding the context, the motivations, and the circumstances that shape the actions of those who've walked before us. Nero's story, like many others from our past, is a mirror held up to the human condition. It's a tale of ambition, power, and the downfall that often comes with unchecked authority. As we close this chapter on Nero, we invite you to reflect on his life and reign. What lessons can we glean from his story? How do we reconcile the artist and the emperor, the leader and the tyrant? We've provided the facts, but the interpretation, dear listeners, is entirely up to you. Our journey through history is far from over. There are countless more stories to unveil, more leaders to scrutinize, more lessons to learn. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into the life and times of Emperor Nero, then we have a treasure trove of historical narratives waiting for you. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the past. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to Historical Leaders Unveiled for more intriguing stories from history. Together, let's continue to unravel the threads of the past, for it's in understanding our history that we truly comprehend our present and shape our future.